the thing that makes the dominant chord so immediately expressive is that tritone. So we're going to take the fifth out, right? Save that for the bass player. We're going to close the voicings, which means they're not going to be spread out. They're going to be a little bit more closed. So just like you were doing there, root note, nothing, flat 7, third, and that gives you the tritone, right? Or
wait,
however.
That's the tritone?
Yeah, that's your tritone, man. Right? Not the root note.
Oh,
You see it?
the third.
Yeah, it's that flat 7 and that major third that and that's why, dude, those are the two notes that move to really exemplify our need to go back to the tonic, right? If I did have this A7, right, that going into it's the third of the chord wants to go to the root of the key, right? Because a third of the chord, the third of the fifth, which is the dominant, is our 7 to the root note. And then what happens is this is the fourth of the tonic that goes down to the third. So that motion, right? When we build, hang on, one, because I think you might get it. When I build my dominant fifth chord, it's a 5, it's a 7, all right, it's a 9, and then it's a 4. Now to theoretically lay that out in the key, right? My 5, I'm in the key D. My 5 is the root note of my dominant chord, right?
Sure.
My third is the 7. Right? My 5 of that chord, of the dominant chord, of the 5 chord, is the 9 or the 2. And then my flat 7, which makes it the dominant, is the 4. Okay? Now, the 7, or the third of the chord, but the 7 in the key, C sharp to D, is the biggest aha of resolving that. But there's something else that's happening there when we make it dominant. That's why this sounds that's why this will like that 5 to a 1, even though the 5's major, will still sound good because it still has that 7 to the root, and it also has the 9 bringing down. It misses one element, and that's this tritone, right? The flat 7 of my dominant chord, but the tritone in the key of D, the tritone is the 7 and the 4th. What happens is that 7 goes up to the tonic, to the D, and that 4 goes down to the 3rd. And you can hear both of those. That's what makes the dominant chord so powerful right off the bat, right?
Wait,
with one hit. What's that?
How do you play dominant chord again?
So the dominant chord is your major with a flat 7. So a major third and a flat 7. That's your dominant. Think about this. The reason it's dominant, right? The reason it's dominant, I don't really know if this is the reason it's called dominant, but the reason it's dominant is if I tell you that I've got a minor 7, that minor 7 could be a 2 chord. It could be a 3 chord, or it could be a 6 chord, right? Doesn't matter. If I just come right in and play a minor 7 chord, you don't know what it is yet until we establish whether it's a 2, a 3, or a 6. If I play a major 7, right, it could be a 1, or it can be a 4. Both of those are major 7s. But the dominant 7, the major third with a flat 7, those are always considered the 5. It can't be anything else. If you're trying to stay diatonic, if I jump right into a chord progression and it's E7, E dominant 7, and I want to stay diatonic, it has to be in the key of A. It can't be anything else. But if I play this, a D major 7, it could be A or D. What's that?
Did you say D dominant 7?
Yeah, would have to be in the key of A. Does that make sense? 5 to a 1. It always has to be the 5th.
Okay, so if we're in the key of A, it would be E.
Yes.
Right.
So now let's go back to our original key. We're in the key of D. So our dominant is A. If I come right in with a dominant 7 on A, if I want to stay diatonic, it's got to be in the key of D, right? And what gives us such a strong movement to that is that tritone is the most tensive, even more so than that half step. As tensive as you can build a half step, depending on what's going on under it, or even if it's just by itself, this still builds us more tension. The tritone wants to move somewhere. This doesn't want to move anywhere. Or I'm sorry, it does, but it doesn't like have a definite destination. The tritone has a very definitive destination. Now, this is why, wait 1 second, because I'm going to nail this for you, for this 12 bar. The reason that these 12 bars, right, or some of these progressions are moving dominants around is now it never really sits in one key. So if I have that change alone, it just gives us such a different color. It never really settles as much as we want, even with the right, it'll still, that A still feels like home, but not like it does if it's that A is just, there's nowhere else that wants to go. But if we have that bluesy, yeah, it feels like home base, but it's not sitting quite as well. So what were you gonna ask?
I was going to say you could use that chord progression. If you use a minor